All right, hello everybody. We are live, and today, me, John Golden. I'm the Chief Marketing Strategy Officer at Pipeliner CRM, as well as the host of the Sales Pop podcast. I'm delighted to be able to bring to you some original research that we just concluded, and with over 300 salespeople. Sales leaders across the world. But anyway, let's get started. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. And I do mean wherever, because what I'm about to share with you comes from sales leaders on 4 continents who have some very important things to say. And the good news is, guess what? They didn't agree on everything. So that made the research more interesting. So I'm here to present the findings. This isn't a vendor presentation. This isn't LinkedIn hot takes. This is just original research from real practitioners. And I want you to take a look at the 3 numbers on screen right now. So these 3 numbers are the DNA, if you like, of everything that we're about to discuss. So 86% agree that building executive relationships must remain human, not should, not ideally, but must. And 46% of organizations have already moved past experimentation phase, and they're not running pilots anymore. They're actually running plays, and that's really important. And then 76% say the number one skill in the AI era is not AI proficiency. Now that's a surprise, isn't it? It's emotional intelligence. All right. So I know that probably broke a few brains there starting, but let's get into more of the research, and it gets more surprising as we go. Again, I just wanted to, just remind you of how this research came about. Over 300 sales professionals and thought leaders, 4 continents and emerging markets. The majority are C-suite executives and founders, people with 20 plus years in the game, published authors, podcast hosts, conference speakers. But critically, they're all practitioners and they have hands-on experience using AI in either their sales organizations right now or with the organizations that they're working with. So these aren't theorists. These are people who didn't read about AI in a plane. These are practitioners who are living it every single day and are advising companies on how to implement it. And they were very forthcoming with their feedback, which is fantastic. All right, so let's get into the first part here. This is a stat that should scare half of you and excite the other half. So see the big number on screen, 46%. That's the percentage of organizations that have moved past experimentation and into committed AI deployment. And look at the line below. It says they're not running pilots anymore, they're running plays, like I said earlier. That's not a subtle distinction, because a pilot is, as you know, experimentation. A play is a strategy. A pilot says, let's see if this works. A play says, we know it works, let's scale it. And then there's the other number at the bottom there. You can see the 10% number. 10% haven't started at all. And in a profession measured by responsiveness and relationships, being in that 10% isn't a strategy. I think that's an existential crisis, wearing a necktie, to be honest. So here's my question. Be honest, because nobody else can hear your answer right now. What group are you in? Are you in the committed 46% or the 44% that are still piloting? Or are you even in the 10% that's not doing really anything right now? So that's something to contemplate. Okay, let's break this down further. All right. So here's my question to you. Let's see the bar chart. Here's the full picture. And my question to you is, are you surprised at any of these numbers? The big bar, 40%, still experimenting and piloting with select teams. Below that, 29% are actively implementing across functions. 10% have gone all in with an AI first approach. 7% say they're fully integrated, and 10% not using AI at all, as we mentioned. So the tagline we have on the bottom there is 46% have left the starting line. The rest are watching the gap widen. And here's the thing about gaps in sales. They tend to compound, as we know. Every month the front runners deploy AI is another month they're learning, optimizing and pulling ahead. Every month the experimenters spend in pilot mode is another month spent looking at interesting findings that go into reports that probably nobody reads. So the tortoise and the hare story, it's a cute story, but it doesn't really apply here. In this race, the hare has a jet engine and the tortoise is still debating which shoes to wear. So my advice would be to jump on board, but that's up to you. And I think the research says, you better get it, you should move out of pilot as soon as you can. And if you haven't started, you should get into pilot as soon as you can. Okay. So let's see. Who's actually driving AI adoption? So who's driving the change? I mean, there's no surprise. The top of the list is 49% say C-suite mandates, and that's understandable because AI has been so much in the news, and there's been so much written about it, spoken about it. People are probably showing tools every day to their execs, etc. So it's no surprise that the C-level is driving the change, and like 49%. Say it's a C-suite, 20% is sales leaders, 10% is IT, and 5% is sales ops. But there's another number that should make every leader sit up and take a look, and that's the 17%, the individual reps, the bottom up. So read that call out at the bottom there, have a look at that. Nearly 1 in 5 organizations report individual reps are driving AI adoption themselves, without waiting for budgets, approval, or strategic initiatives. So we call this shadow AI, and it should keep you up at night because, let's face it, I mean, maybe your reps have found, Chat GPT, and they found an AI writing tool. They've signed up on free trials in their lunch breaks. They're using them right now in your pipeline with your customers, flowing through platforms you haven't vetted or approved. And here's the kicker. They're not doing anything wrong. They saw busy work. They found a solution. They're using it. That's what good salespeople do. But it means you've lost visibility into one of the most significant shifts in how your team actually operates. That's not innovation. That's a wake-up call dressed up as a free trial. So, as I said, if your salespeople are adopting these tools, you need to be aware of it. You need to get ahead of this and be strategic, and don't let it overtake you. It's kind of a reminder of when the bring your own device happened many years ago with smartphones. That was largely driven at the start by grassroots, and then people had to get on top of it because of security issues and all of that. Same thing here with AI. You need to be on top of it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about where AI is actually delivering. It's enough about the problems. Where is it making a big difference? Because amidst all the noise, there are areas where AI is delivering real measurable results, and the pattern's unmistakable. I mean, look at this chart. 8 tasks ranked by what salespeople want AI to handle. So the number one, probably no surprise to anyone, call transcription and summarization, 85%. You know what that really means? Please stop making me spend 45 minutes after every call writing notes that probably don't get read anyway. This is the number one, like, take that busy work away. It's easy. AI can do that much better than you can. Number two is, CRM data entry. 83% say that is really important. And that's always been a challenge, let's face it, is the clash between salespeople and CRM and putting in data. So the more that AI can automate, and not just automate the data going into the system, but enhance it in the CRM, that's a big boost. Then research at 76, email drafting at 71, lead qualification, meeting scheduling, both 66, forecasting at 56, and proposals at 54. So let's look at this a little more deeply. The pattern. Every single one of these is an administrative tax, a time thief, if you like. Nobody on this list said, please have a robot negotiate my enterprise deal. Nobody said, replace me with the executive, replace me with the executive dinner, replace me at the executive dinner. They all want AI to be their assistant, not their replacement. They want to handle this stuff that they don't want to do, or they hate, or that they don't see as productive, so they can spend more time doing the things they love, which they're actually great at. And that is selling, building relationships and deepening relationships, the human element of all of this. Okay, so let's look at measurable impact. Okay, and it's working. If you look at the two things on screen right now, right? 32% of organizations report shortened sales cycles. 37% report improved win rates. Okay, so that sounds fantastic. And I love the quote at the bottom. A sales leader in Australia, and they've recently started using AI. They can already see the benefits. They expect to free up more time for their sales staff to spend more time face to face with clients. And that's the key there, face to face with clients, not screen to screen, not bot to bot. They want to get back to more face to face, and that's the whole point. Now, some of you are looking at the 37%, I'm sure, and you're thinking, well, that's not exactly a landslide, and you'd be right. If this was a mature technology, we're in the first inning. These organizations are getting results while they're still figuring out how to hold the bat, to be honest. Imagine what's going to happen when they actually get really good at it. Meanwhile, the organizations experimenting, like I said, they're falling faster behind. So we can see there are measurable and tangible results coming from leveraging AI like this and leveraging AI in sales. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, now we've arrived at what I kind of believe is probably the single most important finding in this entire study. And this may just be the thing that saves the sales profession. See the big number on the left, 88%. In a profession known for diverse opinions, let's be honest, ask 5 salespeople for a forecast and you'll get 7 different answers, 2 spreadsheets, and a pivot that proves all of them right. Right? Am I right? Okay. But in this profession, we found almost unanimous consensus. 88% agree building executive relationships must stay human. Must stay human. Just contemplate that for a bit. And as you walk down the chart on the right with me, crisis and escalation management, 59% keep it human. Closing deals, 54% keep it human. Discovery calls, 51%. Post-sales relationship management, 49%. Handling sensitive objections and negotiating contracts, both at 44%. So basically, if you read the tagline at the bottom, every task requiring trust, nuance, or emotional intelligence remains firmly in human territory. The profession is drawing a line here, I think, a bright, unlistable, non-negotiable line, and it's saying to the technology world, this is what we want, technology-wise, and here's what we want to stay human. One respondent, actually, one sales consultant said, he put it really brilliantly, actually. He said, human in the loop framing is archaic. AI remains the satellite in the orbit to the salesperson. So just think about that as a moment. We've been talking a lot about, everybody's been talking about human in the loop, as if AI is mission control and we're just the checkbox. This executive flipped it. The salesperson is mission control. AI is a satellite. It gathers intelligence, extends your reach, and sees things that you can't see from the ground, but you're running the mission. And this is fundamental to when we implemented Voyager AI in Pipeliner. Again, did you think of the Voyager missions? They're feeding back information from outer space, but it's the NASA scientists that are actually taking that data and interpreting it. And it's similar with AI, I think. And that's what I think what they're trying to articulate here is the same thing. AI is your satellite and you are mission control. And remember, if you don't learn how to be mission control with your AI, then you'll probably be outsourced to a clone. All right, let's move on from here. And let's look at the customer verdict. This is very, very interesting. Because in a lot of conversations about AI and about how AI is going to impact sales and all of that thing, the customer tends to get kind of lost sometimes. Lost in the mix. So let's go ahead and talk about the customer, okay? There's a kind of warning at the top. Do you see this? The measurement crisis. 39% of sales organizations haven't measured how their customers perceive AI-assisted interactions. 39%. So just think about that for a moment. Perhaps you're deploying AI across the sales processes, emails, chatbots, follow-up sequences, research briefs. They've never once turned to the customer and asked, are you okay with this? It's kind of like remodeling your restaurant, isn't it? New kitchen, new layout, new everything without asking a single diner if the food is any good. You might win a design award, but you'll go broke, right? So let's look at the chart below. The numbers we do have offer a cautious um, offer a cautious optimism with a warning label. Net perception 27% is positive, 17% is negative. So that's good news. But look at the biggest bar, 39% unsure or haven't measured. Those aren't neutral customers. Those are relationships where you're flying blind. Okay, just think about that for a second. And then let's look at the note in the corner. It's a cautious win, but 39 flying blind. That should really worry everybody. And here's an uncomfortable truth a sales consultant in our study delivered. Buyers are going to force us to change, just like they always do, to change how we sell, and they'll determine the level of AI adoption. And yeah, they will. So maybe you need to start. Maybe you need to start understanding your customer's attitude to AI and whether the things you're doing with AI are actually benefiting them, or whether you're taking a kind of an internal kind of focus and you're thinking about how can it help me, which is legitimate in itself, but you got to look at both sides. How can it help me? How does it benefit the customers? And are the customers happy with the perceived benefits of the organization using AI? Okay, so let's talk about the skills that separate winners from casualties. All right. Again, let's look at that big number on this slide, the 76%. The subtitle tells you exactly what it means. Emotional intelligence, as we said, is the number one skill for AI. And this may seem counterintuitive in the it might be counterintuitive finding in the study, maybe. Uh, when we asked salespeople, what is the single most critical skill your salespeople need? They didn't say prompt engineering. They didn't say data literacy. They didn't say make friends with ChatGPT. No, 76% said emotional intelligence and empathy. So here is the real crux. This is what's going to elevate salespeople, what's going to save the top salespeople and continue and make this continue as a phenomenal profession, is that emotional intelligence, is that relationship building, is that part that AI today can't do. So there you go. There's the tagline at the bottom. If you want, walk down the 5 rows with me. EQ at 76, strategic thinking 61, executive presence 51, creativity at 39%, and all the way to the bottom, AI tool proficiency at 37%. So here's the tagline: EQ beats AI proficiency by more than 2 to 1. And this is coming from people closest to the front lines of the AI revolution. They're saying this loud and clear. The future belongs to the most human salespeople, not so much the most technical ones. Now, here's maybe a difficult question, a comfortable question to contemplate. Think about your last 5 hires, right? How many of those did you evaluate for emotional intelligence? How many of your training programs teach people how to read a room? How to feel the moment when your deal tips maybe from to maybe to yes? How do you look someone in the eye and say, I hear you, tell me more? If the answer is not many, and for most organizations it is, then your hiring strategy is pointing in one direction while the market is heading in another one. The winners in the AI era won't master tools. The tools are going to become very, very simple to use, with natural language and AI agents and voice agents, all of that. It's going to become much more easy than that. So they'll master what the tools can't do, and that's what they need to do. And right now, AI can't feel, it can't read a pause in a conversation that means somebody's about to share something. It can't feel the shift in energy in the room or even online if you're selling virtually, when something moves from skepticism to curiosity or when things are going bad. That's your competitive advantage, and there's no algorithm in that. This is EQ, this is talent, this is the sale, this is relationship building, this is all the great things that salespeople like to do. All right. So what's coming next? So where does it all lead? So we asked these sales professionals to look into the crystal ball. And so look at the chart here. 44% see the future as as significant AI as a co-pilot in most activities. 37 or 27% say moderate AI handles tactics, humans own strategy. 12% go big, transformational, AI agents running the majority of tasks. 12% say too unpredictable to call them safe. 5%, bless their hearts, I think the fundamentals stay the same. Okay. Now let's look at the 71% call out. That's the headline. 71% see AI as a co-pilot and not a replacement. The word keeps coming up. Co-pilot. I mean, we know what is it? That's Microsoft's thing as well. But co-pilot just as a concept. It's not the boss. It's not the overlord. It's the co-pilot. The human is flying the plane. Okay. But here's an interesting, and this is more of a thought exercise. It was raised by one person in the survey, and I think this is in the research, and I think this is very relevant. What happens when both buyer and seller deploy AI agents? Think about it. Your AI scheduling bot reaches out to their AI scheduling bot. Your AI proposal generator sends a document to their AI evaluation engine. Your AI follow-up sequences hits their AI inbox filter. Neither human has touched anything. So that's one for a thought exercise. What happens when we have all of these agents? We've been saying B2B for decades. Let's face it, business to business. And a sales leader in Europe saw what's coming. He said B2B is called B2B because it's between businesses. If there will be A to A, we'll consider using AI if, and a big if, the surrounding environment can be secured. So basically AI to AI is still it may be a little bit further off, and it may be more, people may be more reluctant with it. But eventually, we are going to have communications across agents, and we have to make sure that the human part of that we hold on to that, because that's what is most important. So, it's not science fiction. Next 12 to 18 months, probably even less, maybe even like 6 months, who knows? Things are moving so fast. If your strategy accounts for you having AI while your buyer is still human, you're already planning for yesterday. You have to start planning for when your buyer is a mix of human and AI as well, because they're going to go through a hybrid phase too. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay. So the uncomfortable question, the other one is everybody whispers in the hallways, but nobody really likes to talk about, and that is what the impact on the sales profession is going to be. If you look at this chart, we ask salespeople, how many sales leaders, how many sales jobs they expect AI to eliminate, and the slide says it perfectly, and their answers are sobering. 37% expect 25 to 50% of sales roles eliminated. 22% expect 51 to 75% gone. 17% expect more than 75% to be wiped out. I think that's personally, I think, yes, certain level of sales jobs. I think that's absolutely. I think there's going to be an impact on BDRs, on shall we say transactional selling in that. But when it comes to B2B consultative selling, I think that's where we will see the best salespeople rise to the top, and the people who can really master, who really want to focus on the high value activities and master what AI can do for them. Those are the ones that succeed. But yeah, I think there's going to be a big transition. So 39% expect more than half a sales job to be eliminated by AI. And it makes that crucial point that, this isn't from tech futurists. This is from salespeople who carry bags, sales leaders. So they're looking at their own industry. But remember, before you start to panic, remember the 88% line, right? Remember the skills. The jobs that will disappear are the ones that are built on tasks, right? That are very task driven, because AI can do those better. Data entry, basic outreach, routine follow-up, right? The jobs that thrive will be built on what AI cannot do: trust, empathy, strategy, and creativity. So that's what you got to look at when in terms of a sales job. You got to ask yourself, is this simply a task-driven sales role, or is this a sales role that requires skill, creativity, emotional intelligence, relationship building, that human element? That's going to be really the demarcation line, and what gets eliminated and what doesn't. Okay. All right, let's talk about the way forward. So, after surveying these 300 leaders across 4 continents and analyzing the data and reading hundreds of candid, sometimes brutally honest written responses, we distilled everything into 5 strategic imperatives. Okay, and they're right here on the slide. Number 1, move past the experimentation now. 46% have already committed. Every month you spend in pilot mode, the gap widens. So don't wait for perfect. Perfect's the enemy of competitive. Pick your use cases and go. That's the important thing. Pick your use cases and go, right? And you can start with maybe some of the use cases that you feel more comfortable with, but don't just experiment, like go execute. Number 2, protect that 88% line. Executive relationships must stay human. Full stop. Any AI strategy that threatens those relationships isn't bringing value right now. It's lighting it on fire. So, and maybe this will change. I mean, AI is moving so fast. Maybe this will change. But right now, it has to, the executive relationships have to remain human. And number 3 is you got to measure customer perception before it's too late. I mean, 39% are deploying AI into their most important relationships without asking customers how they feel. So you got to start measuring, start asking, start listening, especially before your customers start leaving. But anyway, reach out to your customers now and really understand what their attitude to AI is and how they're seeing things, and whether what you're doing with AI is actually improving life for them, and are they happy with it? And then number 4 is you got to invest in emotional intelligence and EQ, not just in IQ. As we said, emotional intelligence was ranked number 1 above AI proficiency, above technical skills, above everything else. So rethink your hiring and redesign your training. Hire for empathy, hire for emotional intelligence, hire for people who have natural relationship builders. Train, and you can train for the human connection. Let machines handle the spreadsheets, okay? So you start looking at your hires in a different way, and you've got to sort of look at them and say, this person plus AI is what I'm looking for here. This is going to work. This is going to work great in our industry. And then number 5 here is adopt the satellite model. AI as a satellite, right? Salesperson as mission control. Use AI to sharpen your intellect, not outsource your thinking. Use it to extend your reach, not replace your judgment. The moment you hand your strategic thinking to an algorithm is the moment you've outsourced yourself to a clone. So, and again, if you're using AI tools, you should use them in a collaborative. That should be your framework, your frame of mind. Is you're not just asking, you're collaborating with something. So you need to get into conversations and push it. So that's the bottom line on that. The path forward: 5 things you should be doing right now. Move past experimentation, protect the 88% relationship line, measure customer perception, and invest in, and when you're hiring, invest in EQ, not just IQ, and adopt the satellite model. Okay, you've probably seen this written a bunch of times elsewhere, but it's worth revisiting again. And the research that we've done, and this research report really does emphasize this and underline this in triple time. AI will not replace salespeople, but salespeople who use AI will replace those who don't. And that's not a threat. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to become the kind of salesperson, the kind of leader, the kind of organization that just doesn't survive this revolution, but leads it. Why not? Why not get ahead of this? I mean, it's coming so fast, and it's only going to accelerate. So why not just get ahead of it? And this is an invitation. This is great, to use the most powerful tools in human history to become more human, not less. And I think that's the beautiful thing, is start looking at it as this is an opportunity to help you do the things and become more human, do the things you got into sales to do in the first place, which was be creative, build relationships, see what other people don't, create solutions, etc. And there's a quote at the bottom of the slide from a sales leadership coach in our study, and it captures a lot of what we discussed. It said, AI is not something we can ignore. It would be the sales leaders and organizations that leverage AI effectively that will differentiate in the marketplace. And to be honest, I mean, that sums it up really. It's true. Sales leaders and organizations that leverage AI effectively are going to differentiate in the marketplace. The differentiation of, a lot of people have, products and services that may be somewhat commoditized. This is your opportunity to maybe find some differentiation by how you engage with the market and what you use AI to create it, how you use AI to be more efficient, but then allows you to be more relational in your outreach. So this is a great opportunity for you to differentiate yourself in the market. All right, so this has come to the end of this short presentation on our research. So let's revisit these numbers one more time, where we started. 88, 46, and 76. I hope they're tattooed on your brains now, and that this will help you to figure out some of your strategies going forward. I will put up after this. This is obviously, you can replay this video, but also the link to the research as well, so that everybody can access that. And we're also creating a companion piece about how to implement AI in your sales organization. So this presentation has been based on original research from Sales Pop, online sales magazine and podcast, and Pipeliner CRM, drawing on insights from 300 sales professionals across 4 continents. I encourage you to access the report. I encourage you to share it with your teams, discuss it internally, and you can find us at pipelinersales.com and salespop.net. You can find me on the YouTube channel, Sales Pop. So until then, thank you very much for watching this, and I really appreciate you joining me today.